In this video, I will be talking about force and the Newton's first law of motion. What is force? Force is an external agency which can either change the motion. When I say the change in motion, that means it can either change the speed or it can change the direction. The unit of force is the Newton or kilogram meter per second square. So let me give you an example. Let's say you have a car and the car is initially moving with 20 meters per second. Then in order to change the speed from 20 meters per second to 30 meters per second, you need the force. In this case, the direction is not changing. What is changing is the speed. And in order to change the speed, you need the force. Without force, you cannot change the speed, which is from 20 meters per second to 30 meters per second. So what you learn here, in order to change the speed, you need the force, or the force can change the speed. Either it can slow down or it can speed up. In another example, in this example here, an object is moving in a circle with a constant speed, the constant speed of 5 meters per second. So the speed is not changing, but what is changing is the direction. At this point, the direction is this way, but at this point, the direction is the other way. So in order to change the direction, you need again the speed. Or in other words, if the direction without force, you cannot change the direction. That's what it says. As force can either change the speed or it can change the direction. That's what the force can do. Now we'll talk about the Newton's first law of motion. The Newton's first law of motion is also called the law of inertia as well. And what does it say is, if a body is at rest, let's say for example, you have a car, and if the car is at rest, it will remain at rest unless some external force is acting on it. Or that means without external force, you cannot change the state of the body. So if this car is at rest, it will remain at rest forever. Or if this car, let's say it is moving, if this car is moving at, let's say 20 meters per second, then this car will keep moving at 20 meters per second unless some external force acts on it. Without external force, you cannot change again the state of the object. If it is in motion, it will continue to be in the motion. Or if it is at rest, it will be at rest unless some external force acts on it. Let me give you another example of the Newton's first law of motion. This is a simulation here. So let's say I apply a force, and this is without any friction. And here the total force, you can see here the total force, I apply a force here. So what is happening? The object starts moving towards the right. And now what I did, so here the total force is now 0. So if the total force is 0, the object does not move. Okay. So what I'm doing here now let's say if I apply another force, the total force is greater to the right. So if you start, the object will start moving towards the right. Okay. Now what I'll do now, I apply again another force. Now the total force is again 0. So what will happen? Let's see. If the total force is 0, the object is still moving towards the right. And the reason is, so the state of the object was in motion. So even the total force is 0, but as the object was in motion towards the right, it will keep moving towards the right. Even the total force is 0, because the initial state of the body was in uniform motion. So what do you learn here? The thing we learned, if an object is moving with the 20 meter per second, and if the total force is zero, the object will keep moving with 20 meter per second. That is the Newton's first law of motion.